Hello and welcome to the Independent Dealer Podcast brought to you by Buckeye Risk Services. And we
Yeah,
have a very familiar face, a handsome face, I would say.
it's a good looking fella. It must be all of that Southern California sun and the laid back atmosphere. He just doesn't age, Jeff,
Oh,
like you and
good.
I. Yeah, you and I
Yeah.
age a lot. Welcome,
Tim,
Tim.
welcome back, man. Good to have you. As we can call you officially a friend of the pod because you have been on, I think this is maybe your fourth time,
Four?
third or fourth.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so.
yeah, I think so. I like to be a friend of the pod. It's been an aim of mine for quite some years, actually. So thanks.
Yeah, you get to come to the Christmas party and we'll send you like a ham or something. So we always come to Tim because A, he's super willing and he's on Pacific time so he can record when we want to record, but also super knowledgeable when it comes to the world of lending. Obviously, you guys know Tim. Go back to his previous episodes, I think like one something and back in the day.
What 200 and something, 300 and something, somewhere
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
every 100 episodes or so. But we talked last week, Luke, about the issues of people's portfolios kind of like getting underwater and going
Yeah.
downhill as we
Yeah.
bring those repos back in and we book them back to our account, but our borrowing basis is staying the same and we're getting into trouble. We really wanted to talk to Tim about A, we want to get to like how that happens, but uh, B, then A. Let's do A first. A, Tim, what is this process like for dealers like myself that want to come to you? Because it's always a question we get asked. How can I get capital? How can I get capital? How can I get capital? I want to grow. I want to do this. Like help all the listeners out there know like what is that process like these days in today's environment? Like what are you seeing and what should these dealers be prepared for?
Yeah. Well, let's back up a second because um, if you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, here's a independent owner who's a dealer in a high risk segment already saying, I want capital, and I don't just want some capital, I want a lot of capital. Like
Mm,
I want to take
Millions.
out in the
Yeah.
millions. Yeah. And I don't typically have a lot of collateral to put up. And I want you as a lender to finance pretty much 100% of every vehicle that goes out. That is a risky proposition from any sort of person who is going to put in the money on that, whether you're the owner or the lender. It's risky. And so when a dealer is coming to us, we're right away looking for, okay, how long have they been in business? Like, are they sustainable?
mm,
They've been doing this a long time without this capital structure or with another senior lender. They've kind of proven themselves. The second thing is, do they actually pay attention to their financials? And like financial statements is a way that we look at it because it's categorized and it's been approved or looked at by a CPA, but it's really like how well do you manage your cash? That's really what we're looking at. And when we're doing the underwriting, we're doing these adjusted EBITDA calculations to figure out how is the cash being managed so that we can get to the most important thing to me is debt service coverage. So really, like, how do you support paying your debt obligations? And if
mm.
you as an owner are pulling money out, you're pulling a lot of money out, then that's going to be less cash that's available to pay down the debt, especially if you're expecting a lender like us in this space to finance, 100% of each vehicle that goes out.
I was talking to someone that will go unnamed last week about that situation where uh we as dealers we come to you and we request capital. And this particular person said that he saw some of the most outrageous owner salaries in this situation. And people may not think about that, right? What is a reasonable salary for someone running a portfolio? I mean, I know what we have paid ourselves over the years, and honestly, we always we were really low, right? And how did how does that what's a good number?
It depends on the size of your operation and
Correct.
how many accounts you have, how many staff you have. But if you're like a small single location, let's say 25 deals a month, that's actually a pretty okay size because
So let's say that's 600 accounts, maybe, right? 5 to 600 accounts,
there you go.
5 or 6 million on the books, right?
Yep. So you would probably structure it with a mix of a W-2 and then some sort of distributions. The W-2 should range probably between like 100 to 250, depending on what you can sport. If you have cash left over, then you can pay yourself some bonuses and some distributions, and then you should be able to get to a reasonable, living standard. But I think where
I'm
most
grossly
people,
underpaid. Grossly underpaid.
where
I've
most
got to
people are
talk to
missing
somebody
out
about this.
is like thinking about the short term of their business. Like, what am I going to take out this month and next month? And if you're really trying to set yourself up for success, you don't want to get over leveraged and have too much debt that you're responsible for. Because if you really think about it, the dealers that are the most successful right now in this time of high interest rates and high costs of vehicles are the ones that have more self-funded financing, who have more equity in their business because they're paying less in their rates to lenders. And when there's less lender availability like there is today, then it's like a classic supply and demand. If you're lending right now, you could probably charge a lot more than you could 2 years ago. And we kind of stay consistent, but it's um, so in that scenario, an owner is then paying a lot more money for their capital and still trying to take out the same amount that they were through their salary and distributions, and then it just becomes quite challenging.
Yeah, I think one of the things I see new dealers doing more than anything that's a mess up is taking on too much debt for sure, paying themselves too much, and living too largely. You know what I mean? Like, and then you come to a debt provider like you and go, "Hey, I need $5 million." And they're like, "Well, I mean, of course you do, but you got to change." I mean, how do you have those conversations? And when do those conversations happen? Do they happen up front or do they happen
They
as
happen
you're?
up front, in the middle, on the backside, and they suck because if you're an independent owner, you don't want somebody to tell you what to do because that's why you're an entrepreneur. That's why
But
you're
every time you take debt, someone is telling you what to do.
That's,
Yeah,
that's
that's the bottom
exactly
line.
right. So you have to think about that. If you want to have somebody else financing your business, because really, we're putting in a lot of risk, then we expect stuff in return, and we expect a certain amount of stewardship of that business. And when you're pulling money out, even though it's really common to have a personal guarantee, that's not the first thing that gets touched. The money in the business is where all the protection is, and then it goes further away from that. Um, and the last thing any of us want to do is start to do personal guarantee.
Take their racing boat back and their
Well,
mountain
I don't mind the
cabin and
well,
their
racing boat, but
lakeside villa.
I
well,
don't
the problem is
know.
they'll leverage themselves on the other side too, right? They'll take 100,000 out of the buy here, pay here, lease here, pay here business to finance that $1 million, play
Mm.
toy, that $1 million plane, and then you really got problems, right?
Because
Yeah,
you got a
and
plane with a lien on it.
Oh my word!
Tim can't fly a plane. Look at
I
him.
bet he, I
He
bet
only
he
knows a
could.
surfboard. Uh, what's interesting is like it just seems like Tim, your underwriting, when we talk about getting under the hood and underwriting these dealers, is just to be friends with them on Facebook or Instagram and just see their lifestyle, and you just instantly know when they're posting all these trips and pictures and boats and planes, like, yeah, that's not a deal I'm doing. Not doing that deal.
yeah, some of the best things for us where we've both hit and missed is on the character side. Because
Mm.
character isn't just about like fraud, which is important, but it's
Yeah.
about I mean, it is about stewardship, like how much you're caring about your business, about your stakeholders, because we're a stakeholder, just like your customers are, just like your staff are, and your other key vendors. And anytime you're messing with any of those, it's going to be a hardship on your business.
I
It's
mean, how do you
interesting.
make that? How do you make that judgment? I mean, is it?
The best is to get some feedback from other people. Hey, do you know this guy?
Okay.
Would you lend money to this person, guy or gal?
Mhm.
That's what we try to do in our business, but everyone,
If
if
I
we
ask
call them
Luke, he just says
references, then
no
they
to
all say
everybody.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim texted me. He said, "Hey, what do you think about this guy?" I was like, "Well, I don't know about that guy."
I don't know about that
But
guy.
I tell you, and I've seen this lately with a lot of dealers. The only people making money, Tim, are guys like you. And I don't know how.
What's that
I
mean?
Well, wait, you get through it, and then I have some responses to that.
this is what I'm going to say, and I know it's not your fault, and it's typically the dealer's fault because they're leveraged too far, right? And so they're leveraged too far, and they're spending money. Uh, their expenses are out of whack, and next thing you know, uh, the the credit line is eating up $40,000 to $70,000 a month in interest, and they're breaking even or losing a little money or making 10,000 a month, right? I mean, that's hard.
Yeah, no, it's super hard. And yeah, I think it's a misconception to say, lenders like us are the only ones making money. I mean, you see lenders pulling out because they're taking losses.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's a high amount of risk because let's say the dealer operator gets in a troubled situation. When you wind down a portfolio, it's hard to make it to the end and come back with supporting staff and making sure that the operator's engaged. Or even if you take over the portfolio, then there's all these things that happen where the consumers are like, well, I don't have to pay my dealer anymore who originated it. I don't know who, this third party
Mm,
servicer is anymore. And then there's more higher delinquencies. Um, just the whole wind down process, it sucks. Like,
yeah.
and we
Let me
have to
ask.
do it sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly painful. I couldn't even imagine having to go in and take the reins and shut it
Especially
down,
especially when you're a long way away.
Yep.
Oh yeah. What, so it sounds to me like, to summarize the first part of the underwriting side, these dealers need to have patience and constraint. Like that's
Hmm.
what sticks out to me, is like constraint in your expenses and your overhead and all this stuff. And then patience, man. It's like dealers, yeah, you want to go out and get this huge line of credit. It's like, A, you haven't proven yourself, and B, you have no equity. You haven't built up any equity in your own buy here, pay here. Like take the $5,000 you made from that car and turn it into
I
10,
think
and
I
then
think
turn that
that's
10 into 20. And then in 5 years, you might have $500,000. Now I can go to Tim and say, hey, I got $500,000 in equity. Give me $1 million,
I
you
think
know?
that's a good question. Like, what kind of equity position should dealers have before they seek a line of credit?
Yeah, a really good ratio to try to stay under. So I think when we say this, people are like, great, I can leverage this much, is like 4 to 1. And sometimes we'll take some risks on operators that are trending in the right direction, and they might even be as high as like 8 to 1, like debt to equity of like, let's say you wanted $1 million line, then you should have 250,000 or more in your
Mhm.
business to support that. And if you think about the profitability of each unit you're putting out, like every dollar that we put out, we have a certain amount of equity that's in that dollar. And then we're borrowing because we're a lender who borrows from a lender. And so that's what helps us be more profitable is by having equity in every deal, in every dollar. And it's the same thing for you as dealers. They're using debt to um, increase the size of your business is a great tool. But if you're using 100% of the lender's money, your profitability shrinks. If you're able to put in even 10% on each unit, then that's a huge increase to your bottom line on every vehicle because you get to keep 10% of those dollars that are coming in more than you were previously. And so there's a right fluctuation, and I would say it's probably more like 20 to 30% of every deal should come out of your pocket. And if you can't
Yeah.
scale away, um,
I've been arguing with Jeff on this point that I truly believe that 35% is like the max. Like,
Mm,
don't go over it. Like, that's
yeah.
where dealers just really start to get in trouble.
yeah, like advance rate,
Yeah,
30,
yeah, yeah,
35% of your receivables. I, if you're in 35% range, you're very profitable and you're
yeah.
running an organization.
And I think the organization can do it if they buckle down and if the owner buckles down. I think it can be done.
Yeah.
Jeff's trying to argue the opposite position, but
No, I'm not trying to argue that, but let me just clarify that. So when you say 35% advance rate, that means if I put out a $10,000 note, I'm taking $3,500 on that note, right?
yes, yes.
Or I don't know how leasing works. It might be a little bit different, but
We do a different borrowing base structure,
yeah.
to where it's essentially like 45% of the total lease receivables plus let's call it 30% of the residual.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
can't do that
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And when you say that, that's the conservative end of it. So these dealers that are getting into it, you have to have built some of your own equity. And that's the bottom line. Just I think getting just dealers are just not, we're just not patient, you know? And that's when you look at all these really big implosions over the
Yep.
last 5 years, it's been guys that were just like rocket ships, man. And it's like,
Mhm.
dude, that is a trajectory that's insanely dangerous. And I honestly don't know any that have survived.
And the high ACV that we've taken on over the last 4 years or 5 years, that I think, Jeff, looking back, may have caused all this problem.
Well, so it's that plus
Exacerbates it.
it's their older aged units that have higher mileage and aren't lasting as long.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry for the break in here, but we do want to tell you about Blitz Pay. I tell you, Jeff, every meeting I've been to lately, Blitz Pay has been there supporting our industry, and that is such a great deal to see in our vendors.
It is. They do a great job of being involved. There's a handful, we know not all the lenders, but we know the bulk of the lenders that are active. And then out of those active lenders, there's a whole nother little group that just do anything for the industry, you know? BlitzPay is definitely one of those that they are so concerned with their image in the industry that they go above and beyond, right? They're not like, hey, take it or leave it, use us or
Yeah.
don't, we don't care. They are out to make people happy.
Yeah, any vendor that you see out there doing it like this, they're good. And BlitzPay helps me collect our accounts, no matter where I am in the world. I can help and do the things I need to do, and my money's in my account almost the next day, and I love that.
Yeah. So give the folks over at BlitzPay a call. I know everyone's switching out of their current payment processor that kind of went on them. BlitzPay is definitely the way to go. So give them a holler. So to get more practical again on this,
Yeah.
if a dealer, they got in the door, they got the loan. Now we talked about the wind down and the troubles. What metric or what should dealers be paying attention to, whether they're leasing or this probably applies to some buy here, pay here guys too. What do you first like? What's the canary in the coal mine? What are you seeing when you get those monthly statements in that says, "Hey guys, this is trending in a very dangerous direction." Is it just expenses? Is it just collateral recovery? Is it just delinquency and repo? Like,
Yeah, so if we're looking at just the financial statements first, which we don't, we have a bunch of other KPIs that we're looking at, but just to
yeah,
start there, negative net income is like huge, even just for a month, because we're always looking at the last 12 months
mm-hmm.
blocks of time, and then we're trending that out, so
Yeah,
we can track it on these scorecards, and so as you're looking at that, you're seeing essentially 12 months of cash shrink, shrink, and shrink. And like I was saying before, the being able to cover your debt. So if you have enough cash coming in to support your debt payments, then you have more than one times. So like you'll get a covenant from a lender, like interest coverage or debt service coverage, and it's 1.25x or 1.10x. And that just means that that 1.25 is, I could cover more than 25% of the debt that's owed. So if I owe 10,000 a month, I have enough cash coming in to pay that 10,000 plus an extra $2,500
that
also.
seems slim.
Right. So yeah, as the well, and that would be like it gets really hairy once you start getting under one times because that means you're using debt to pay debt. And if your if your expenses have increased and your interest rate has increased as it did over a very accelerated 2 year period of time, then I think it caught a lot of dealers off guard. So then all of a sudden they have higher expenses all over the board. And It's shrunk their margins to not just shrunken, but negative. And then any
Mhm.
equity that's in the business is depleting.
So
So
it's getting eaten up.
you see, yeah, you see like this inversion in the ratios, and you can watch it on trend cards. We have like these red dots that start showing up.
He has a map of the US and this like little dealer still popping up red.
Yeah, you know, I've I've heard of people, you know, getting into a sticky situation where they were, you know, borrowing reinsurance money to pay reinsurance, and this is kind of like what you're talking about here.
It's exactly right. So like pulling, well, and even just when you start to send money back in from your reinsurance company to then support your debt service coverage payments, that's when you know you're starting to be pretty shaky.
Well, what
Yeah,
am I supposed to do? What do I do?
that's what I was about to ask. You just go, oh.
Yeah, help me out with that, Tim. What would be your recommendation in a situation where like I had a negative month or two? Um, I mean, it seems like you've got to get through it, right? I mean, that's one of the worst things that I argued with Luke, I think last episode or the episode before, is like if these banks would just be patient, we can sometimes claw our way out of a bad economy and
Oh,
some bad
100%.
losses, but
Hmm.
just give me time to like rebuild. So when does it become stupid to say, hey, I'm going to take my reinsurance money or I'm going to take my nest egg and
No,
try to
all
put it
that's
back into the
great
business
because
to get through?
yeah, no, that is a great tool to use as long as you're doing the improvements on the operating side. And I think that's where it gets it gets murky because what we want to see, and I'm sure every lender is like this, is great. You had a few bad months that happens. Why did it happen? And how are you going to avoid this in the future? And how are you going to dig out? If the way that you dig out temporarily is by pulling money in from outside sources, your nest egg, that's great. That's what it's there for.
I mean, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. And you should do that rather than coming to your lender and saying like, "Hey, I need a higher advance rate because I'm struggling." Because then we're both, screwed after that. But so you use something like the 5 why or root cause analysis is like the simplest way to start looking at it. Why did this happen this month? Why do we have negative net income? Is it because we were paying more for the reconditioning because we had, like multiple suppliers that are charging more. And it took longer too. So then we had to pay more interest to our floor plan lender, and we had to pay curtailments too. So it was like more cash going out. And our CRR dipped down too. It used to be at like 78%, and now it's at 74%. Um, and then you keep digging down. Well, why is that? Well, the vintage years that we were looking at for the Hyundais had all these issues. And the Hyundai, isn't honoring the warranties that they said that they were going to. And you can start to get to all of this. Or we had a collector quit, and so we should be able to recover because we were able to replace that collector, but we didn't act fast enough. So there's like all these reasons that you can start looking at your business, and that's why 20 groups are important and having other peers around so you can, because
Accountability, yeah.
yeah, and I think we all as leaders can have ego, and we don't want to say, "Oh, this is sucking right now." And but there are always those situations that come up for any entrepreneur. Like stuff hits the fan, and all of a sudden you have all these problems to solve, and it could be financial stuff, could be operational stuff, could be crises unrelated to you, like
Be
vendor.
personal, yeah.
Yeah, but you're responsible for doing it. And so you have to just really dig in deep and look at what's going on and be okay to be transparent about it.
And then you bring in a consultant, and that consultant will help you. But when the consultant tells you something, please do it.
You I'm so glad you said that because it is like consultants are so valuable because they get to look at it from an outside perspective,
Yeah.
call you out on stuff. I have advisors that I use. I'm part of a CEO peer group, and um, I need that just like everybody else does because we start to see things a certain way. We get used to seeing it a certain way, or it's like the boiling frog where things are heating up and you're like, well, it's not that bad. We got through last
It's,
month, got through,
yeah.
the previous month, and then all of a sudden you can't.
Yeah. Yep.
selfless plug. And
You like that,
other
didn't you?
ways, if you cannot afford Luke, is much cheaper option. Lease Here, Pay Here Summit, Tim, September 11th through the 13th in San Diego. So we're like, I mean, we're only a month out. This is crazy, right? I can't even imagine. I don't have my tux ready. I don't have anything ready, but Luke and I will be
Tails
there.
from you. A tux with tails.
Yeah.
I got my white tux that I wear to the
Banquet?
debutante ball. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice. I can't wait. I'll
After Labor Day, buddy. So tell us about that. What can we expect new this year? What maybe tease us a little bit, give us some of the agenda topics. Like, what are we getting into?
Yeah. Okay. So you said it's September 11th through 13th. It's typically pretty small. Like we like it in the 80 to 100 size. And we like it that way because you can interrupt people and ask questions and it's way more interactive, kind of don't get lost. And we usually go down, the same breakout sessions or agenda, all the agenda sessions together. We have people like Melinda Zabritsky coming again.
Oh, yeah.
When you're a smaller group and you can really start peppering her with questions, grab her afterwards, and things like that. We attack different aspects of it. Like last year, we really hit culture and leadership. We had a guest speaker come in who that's what he does locally here. He works with our organization. He's one of my coaches. His name is Mark Otto, Otto. And of our survey responses, he ranked the highest out of everything.
More than us?
He like doubled.
No, he was great. He was great. He was good.
He was fantastic. So he's coming to do a part two. I get so excited because his stuff is so good and it challenges you to look at your business in a different way. And if you think about what drives my business the most, I mean, it really is your people. And so getting your hires right, your culture right, your leadership right, all that stuff matters the most. We're doing some fun things too. On the first night, we're going to the Padres game. So that'll be pretty fun. Instead of doing karaoke like last year when you guys didn't sing,
Thank
I
goodness.
had to rap Coolio, but whatever. So it's essentially like a half night the first time, just a welcome reception, hang out, have a good time, get comfortable with each other. The next day is really the full session, and it's 8-9 hours of really solid session. Then we do this great dinner on Portside Pier, looking out on the water. It's like my favorite part of the event. And then we do a half day Saturday to let you get on with your weekend. And
Tim, do people have to be one of your customers to attend?
Nope. And the other thing I was going to say is our portfolio, we probably have 70% lease here, pay here, 30% buy here, pay here. And it really doesn't matter. Like we always called it the Lease Here, Pay Here Summit because it was originally just purely educational around leasing and compliance around leasing, which still covers that. But really the biggest difference between leasing and buy here, pay here is it's an in-house financing product that's different, but it's the same business, essentially, same customer, same type of operators. So there's a lot of synergies between. So you don't have to be a customer of ours. It's really just something that we try to put on for our customers, but allow anyone else to come and join.
Yeah, it's great. I recommend it to buy here, pay here, and alike because it's great people more than anything.
Yeah. Looking at the agenda topics, I mean, all of these are just apply to every dealership, right? I mean, the underwriting consistency, the outlook from Melinda Zabrinsky, I don't know, Luke's going to do something that we could all probably take a break and go get a drink during. And then the AI stuff. You got some great Chat GPT and AI sections here too. That'll be great.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a lot because we're in this period of time where we're going to experience a technological revolution faster than any of us have ever experienced in human history. And there's a lot of confusion on how do I do this? How can I start to apply this? And so, we got to start. We have to talk about it all the time, unfortunately.
2 years ago, Tim, at Lease Here, Pay Here was the first time that it kind of even AI ever came on my screen like that. Okay, because you made a couple pictures and things like that, and you used it a lot, and I wasn't using it at all back then. And I use it every day now. But the last, so I was in TIADA last week and CIADA last week. The only thing dealers want to talk about is AI. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
It's going to replace us all.
I think it is.
Thank goodness.
Hopefully you. Anyway.
Mostly just podcasters.
Yeah, that is true. We're the first one on the chopping block. This can be
For
done
sure.
by that so easily. Cheaper, better, probably better jokes, better content.
For sure.
Yeah. Tim, excited, man. Thanks for your time. Looking forward to September 11th out there in San Diego. I'm stoked. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a review. We'll catch you in the next episode.